All right. Well, why don't we begin? Today is Monday, September 9th, 2019. I have 3:02 as the start of the Town Government Study Committee's meeting. First item on the agenda, may I have an approval of the agenda as written. Motion made. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any public comment? Seeing as there are no members of the public right here, we will move on. Approval of the minutes. I'm not sure if those have been circulated, so we may be tabling those.
Table.
Hold on 1 second, I'm still setting up.
It's quite all right.
And we're on number 4.
Quite all
Well,
right.
he's leaving at 3:30.
Weren't they posted as a draft?
I'm not sure the July 30. Oh yes, you're right. The July 31 may have been posted.
I think there was a draft someplace.
August 14th, I don't think we have posted as a draft yet, but we'll endeavor to clean up those because I have not made
Yeah,
revisions
I
from the
had
last
some-
time either. Right,
On the 14th, I had some notes.
right, and I had
on the July 9 minutes.
right, and I had a typo labeling. I think the
Okay.
minutes initially too. So that's some cleanup that I'll work on for our next meeting. But the main topic today, so we can I'd say let's just table those for now. So I'd say the main topic for today was the review of the August 14th, 2019 public hearing. I came away, I was pleased that there were more people in attendance.
Yep.
I thought we got the word out sort of as well as one could for this. I thought that what struck me, and this was my takeaway, was that sort of regardless of the form of government that we're using, it all seems to boil down to education. And whether it be educating the public on the nuances of government, whether it be educating them on the forms and procedures of town meeting, or whether it be educating them just on how to find out where this information is available, it feels like I got the sense that there was a disconnect of sorts.
Well, I'd call it communication,
Yep.
education/communication.
And that's perfectly, I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
That it's trying to figure out how to get the public better informed in general. And my concern after listening to some of the comments from both seasonal residents and year-round residents was that needs to be the first step in sort of improving whatever communication, whatever education that there
But
is.
I think that starts with management. We don't fix it, they fix it.
Well, that's
And the message has to be, you're not communicating very well. I go back to my suggestion that when the hospital, before they started their big fund drive, put out a special newsletter insert. I think the town of Nantucket should have a monthly news insert in the Ink and M I tried to go on Libby's town manager site, and there's a lot of good stuff on there, but unless you really work hard to get there or even know it's there, and I got it from the new Daybreak thing that Bill Farrell's doing that referred to the town
kidding.
manager's site.
And it's also of interest to me that
Which just barely started,
Which?
the daybreak.
I
So,
know,
mean,
but-
that-
But the town manager site, and the Daybreak is wonderful, but the town manager site is there. How the heck do I find it if I want to see
Right.
on a weekly? But I'm not saying I have to. The simple answer is don't make them search for something that's hard to find. Reach out. There should be a communications director for the town whose job, and that was my job in university, communications, PR. That's a job for a big corporation like Nantucket that's unfilled.
We have a position.
Who is
That's
it?
what Florencia.
Who?
Florencia Rillo.
What does she do?
She's public outreach manager.
What does she do?
Oh, she does all of the newsletters, social media,
And,
all.
but I don't get it on my
And we
email.
do have an IT person, to your point, which I've made, I think, a couple times when I've tried to tell you I can't find things. To me, when I first started to try and engage with information, it appears to the layperson as a purposeful block to your knowing something or finding something out.
I agree.
When the website, for instance, you want to go and get agendas and minutes, the search bar initially gives you everything. And it took me a very
Yeah.
long time to realize that on that drop-down box, there's a little spot that says all, and you uncheck that and then go in and check. Now, I think that that should be blank. You should do the drop-down menu to find what agendas and minutes you want. You shouldn't get to the page, I mean, literally, I was going through all of them to get to the planning board, or all of them to get to the select
Yeah.
board, because somehow I picked the things at the end of the alphabet. But just little things like that, right, makes a big improvement for a beginner
Right.
or someone that's just coming in to engage in it, because they're familiar with computers, they're familiar with doing a search in a drop-down box. And the other one would be like, if you get the alerts, right, of certain meetings and things, you get the alert sends you to the page that you then need to click on to get to the page that will get you to the agenda, which is pretty time consuming. And it would seem like if I've signed up for an alert for the, I don't know, tree commission, that when that alert comes up, the agenda should come with it. That should be what I get, right? Is just to facilitate ease of information. It's, you know, we all have it whenever we go someplace. The longer we take to have to find out the information, the more frustrated you get along the way, then the less sort of
Right.
open you are, because you're getting frustrated while you're trying to.
Well, I'm a
Right,
little
hold on.
confused
Hold on.
because,
Were you gonna say
Sorry.
something, Chris?
Oh, I was just gonna comment, and then we'll move on, but, the town manager's site is not on the town website, as I recall. Is that the case, Christie? I think she has maybe it's a link, but I thought she had a separate,
Interesting.
site, but maybe not. We'll see.
The town website is blocked on my computer, so I can never get to it.
Anyway, I think, when you go to the,
Speaking of difficult.
there's no hope. All right, comment?
Yeah,
And-
please.
Can I make one other comment? I just, John, education and communication is great. But I think one of our charge, as I follow it, is to think about the town structure and the charter and whether or not that facilitates a good outcome or so something like that. And we often find ourselves talking about what seems to me are education and communication are the sort of province of the select board and the management of the town. No one is holding them up from doing anything in those areas if they wish. But I don't think you can have a charter section that says, please communicate.
I think you're 100% right.
So it's like we're off base somehow. If that's the message we're getting from our public hearing, it doesn't suggest to me that changes in the charter and so on are going to address that.
I think that's right, and I think that was where that was my concern after listening to a lot of the comments on from the 14th. That even if we do make any type of radical changes, or even non-radical changes, will they have the impact that we're anticipating for our sort of narrow charter review, if people still are uneducated and don't understand?
So it seems to me the last public hearing, we had, let's say we were there an hour. We spent 20 minutes on Brant Point's drainage and flooding problems, which is a you know, if I was living in Brant Point, I would have been down to the selectmen the next meeting in public comment and made sure they got the message. Because we were not the right forum for that.
Quite right.
But someone is, and so it ties back in. But it suggests there's a, you know, as you say, kind of a disconnect someplace in the process, having nothing to do with whether you have a town council form of government,
That's right.
or a town meeting form of government, or a representative town government.
Well, I think a lot of it came from the INM having that article, and then people felt, oh, here's a forum where I can go and express how I'm feeling, whereas they might not know they can go to select board on a Wednesday. So it's there is this disconnect. So how do we
Yeah.
either have advertising in the Inky for every Wednesdays?
Well,
It's
and I
cost prohibitive, yeah.
I think to the education and communication, the way it could be used by this group is to improve our own, as we go through this process, to try and demonstrate what good communications would look like, and educating about the topic that we're on, so that when we're having those meetings, people are coming with a more direct focus on what they're coming for, because it's sort of a broad question: is your government working for you?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm just trying to think like
Right.
how
So
could
we might better
utilize it.
communicate what our charge is,
Right.
and how we hope a public outreach process will address that or help people understand it.
And I'd
So-
say put that in our ad as
Yeah.
a kind of news or outline or agenda, because I don't want to count on the Inky M to report that we're having this meeting to have people do thus and so. We should do what I'm arguing. Get our newsletter out and put an ad in, and get the town to pay for it.
No, you know, because it would be the beginning, right? Even if
Yeah,
you just
show 'em how to
had
do
one
it.
or two
Yeah.
paragraphs in the announcement section where
Right.
it's free.
Right.
No, but to just start trying to streamline that and demonstrate it, and in that way have people.
Even in the
be-
calendar, I think that may be what you're saying, just a little sentence or two in the calendar for the day. But I would say we ought to run an ad, quarter-page ad, and have a report. Really, stick it to them. I'm all for sticking it to them.
Yeah, there.
I'm not quite sure what that means, Curtis.
But
Well,
then I-
prod,
We'll
maybe,
strike that from the minutes.
Encourage to improve.
Encourage who to improve? I'm not quite sure. I want to know
Well,
what you.
I
think
thought
I
we
know
were
what you're
talking
saying,
about-
but-
I thought we were talking about communication
Communications, okay.
from town management to people, therefore encouraging town management to improve, telling the people what's going on and why.
Well, we have a member of the select board with us. I think she's fully capable and probably to share that kind of thought, which is somewhat separate from our charge, I think. And I mean,
I think
that's.
this goes back to
I
basics.
mean, I don't, you know, for example, I tried to maintain a list of what I thought were issues we have heard about or thought about in our meetings that were reasonably related to charter changes. And you can pick out any one of these. And I think we ought to figure out if we want to address those or not, because we spent a year and a half, and I'm not sure we've addressed any of them in enough specificity to say we want to change something. So John, I would, one way to get at that is,
Yep.
if you want to change this, fine, but to put this on the next agenda, this list, and pick out 3 of them for that agenda to discuss specifically, and with enough time to see whether we want to take any action.
Works for me.
And I don't, if we
So
don't
you're
want it,
sharing that with us for that purpose.
I've shared it with, I've sent it to John, he can send it around, I think it should go out with the next agenda.
Okay, please
And,
do.
Yeah.
and we
Well,
ought
if
to
it
pick
goes
3 of
before the
these
next
items
agenda, that
to
would
get
be
out.
great.
It's like Teresa Williams, we haven't voted, to my knowledge, on her request through town meeting to refer something to us, and we need to, I think, vote as a committee to say we are not taking any action, or we are.
Right.
And then it will be in the record, and that's what we recommend on that specific item. and there are 10 of these things. The airport commission, if we can't get town council to come in and talk about the issues Dan Drake raised, which I thought were significant issues, which might have several possible solutions, we gotta get on with that. So, anyway.
Okay.
that
No, I
could-
think that's a great idea. I think that's.
Well, I
Kind of
think,
going into the-
and just so that you're not feeling like we're way off base, we were talking about the, public meeting, hearing that we had, right? So we're still in that conversation.
Yeah, we are still. I mean, I might have derailed us from the get go talking about the education and communication. But if anybody else had any other sort of
Well, no, I think
observations or review,
like that
by all
is-
means.
I think, okay, so I came away with 3. Those 2. And the other was, I thought it has become, I feel that the results that we would get on the charts could have been easily influenced by members speaking out, appearing to be pro
Mm-hmm.
a particular type of thing, and I think that led some non-voting tax-paying citizens to believe that with a change to a certain type of government, they would have more influence
Mm-hmm.
at town meeting. I don't even know if that would actually be true,
Right.
but I feel like that was the other thing I got out of it, is people and the letters that came to us.
Actually, as a quick follow up, did we ever tabulate the results of those charts? Did Tucker? I sort of assumed he was.
I haven't seen them. I would
I
suggest the
haven't seen
charts
mine.
as they exist, we should take a picture of them and attach that picture to our next minutes, to our next agenda.
Okay.
It's easy to do, and that becomes a permanent part of our record then.
Great.
It takes it's on the phone, bingo, you got it.
Picture's worth 1,000 words.
Then you don't have to cart them around.
Thank goodness for that.
I thought a number of things. People, I think, had opinions about things, which are fine. But until you get, I'll raise one of them. Was it Alan Reinhardt? I talked to Alan after the meeting just to try and understand better. And one of the things he indicated was he thought there should be faster decision-making. Okay, that's interesting. But it would help me to understand what issues need faster decision-making to get to an endpoint that he and maybe others feel is important. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
what that means. You could have you could look
You
at
want-
our federal government. It's got, they meet, 99 days a year or whatever. So they can be as fast as they want.
Right.
Or as slow as they want, It's got nothing to do with being faster.
Let me say, I sit with the cemetery commission that Alan chairs. I have never seen a more ponderous commission in my life of not getting things.
And my point wasn't so much that, it was how do you get behind the comment?
Right.
Because it seemed to tie into the airport piece.
I thought
I would
that
have
was
guessed
a
bu-
great comment,
I would have
because it
guessed
had a
budget, yeah.
specificity and a real
Yep.
problem
Yep.
to deal with,
I agree.
so.
No, I agree.
Well, I
And-
missed that meeting, and I would love to capture Dan Drake's comments. Are they there anyplace? Was it,
I think I
Recorded?
believe we were live on camera. So
And,
so I can go and look it
yeah,
up?
and he was. It
we
was
also have the minutes on the website in draft form.
Well, but I think if you can see it visually, the emotion and the way it's
yeah,
presented.
it was.
So I will do that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's actually on YouTube as a Civic League presentation.
What's YouTube?
I'll email it to you.
That's good.
Do you
That's
think
good.
Yeah,
Josh and us-
You
I'm-
can
That's
go
good,
to the
that's good.
town's website and connect into the YouTube.
You're
Really?
talking Greek to me. I'm
I would
talking.
send it to you, but I'm blocked.
Uh,
Down.
There's people talk
love
about
it.
Facebook and YouTube, and I don't know what they are. I don't know how to get there, but I'm learning. I'm going to
There you
have
go.
one of my kids tell me.
There you go.
Well, if you ever want to know how to do something like I was putting windows in my house, and I had no idea. I've never done a window before. YouTube did. brilliant, they don't leak or anything.
It's a wealth of
So what do I
knowledge.
do? Dial up something called YouTube? Do I have to pay to do it? Well, no, that's off the agenda.
Yeah,
We'll
We'll talk about that
waste
after.
John's time. He's got 8 minutes left.
That's right. Okay. So one other thing with this, do we think it's going to be beneficial to call in Dan or the airport commissioner? I mean, the head of the airport to have a conversation?
Well, I think when we put this item on the agenda, we should call the parties that are interested. And I think we can start with Dan Drake. And Dan, if you would like the manager to be with you,
Okay.
we'll leave that in your hands.
Okay.
But we, I think, have to reach out to town council or somebody else to join us in that discussion. Otherwise, it's going to be just like his comment at the meeting.
Right.
Do you think that it's a town council or is it finance? Or is it a?
We could start with Brian.
Okay, I'm asking. I don't know.
I think we need someone other than Dan,
Fair enough.
because he's talking
Okay.
about a structural thing within the town
Right,
that needs attention by
Okay.
and
Brian.
it is something that he raised as a citizen and is on YouTube, so someone that we invited, such as Brian or town council, could review the
Yeah.
comments that were being made. I think he laid it out pretty well there, and then, because I think what we're looking for is options on how to fix something like that, right?
Right.
That's,
Right.
and then are those options related to a small change in the charter, or does the charter already sort of lay out a way in which it could happen?
Okay. Any other comments or review on the public hearing from the 14th?
I put the link to the public hearing in the minutes. I'll double click on it to get to YouTube.
Look at you. So good.
Just have to-
It'll be on my computer at home?
Yes.
I sent you the email.
Goody. Thank you.
Okay. Any other business right now until we start to go on to sort of the other critical aspect of our timeline?
Well, let's talk about schedule.
Okay. So, let's talk about schedule.
John, may I ask
Please.
you to look at if there's an end date that we're working towards, a report time this year, or is our end date next year's town meeting? And I'm looking at how we get to the end date in what stages.
Yeah. I think that, so I believe that if any warrant articles are going to go through select board, that is my
Well,
assumption.
that's an option. If we thought something was,
January 20th and February 15th.
So, sorry, what were you
well,
going
I'm
to say?
just saying, if we thought an article or a change we wanted to propose was critically important, and the select board didn't choose to put it on the agenda or in the warrant, we'd have to act as citizens, or we have an
Right.
option. I'm just saying, we don't have to,
No, that
but we
you're-
have an option.
You're right. So, and I'm going to confess a little naivete here, but I would think, I mean, select board doesn't necessarily have to propose their articles until, I think, January.
Right.
However, citizens
November.
November,
is November.
So
I think it's
just going
November
back to
1st.
the charge of this committee
Yes.
is to provide recommendations to the select board. So is it
I-
our committee that would be doing the citizen
So,
articles, or are we just gonna give it to select board?
well, so that's just it. I mean, I would think that we would give it to select board to quote, carry the water. However, if there is something that they do not agree with and that we consider to be critical, then that is something that we could decide as a committee to submit as a citizen's article. The timing is a little strange because we would want then the select board to give us a commitment by, call it November 1st, so we would have adequate time to craft whatever we would need to.
So now that's the end date for us to
So-
come up with thoughts.
So assuming, yes, assuming that's the path. However, if we are comfortable just leaving it in the ever-capable hands of the select board, then our end date would be closer to January.
So
You could always submit one of
True.
some form of writing, right? And then amend that
Or, true, or just,
Or withdraw it.
or withdraw it.
or withdraw it.
I'm, with your, all of your permission, I may have a conversation with Libby about that to see what she's,
Right, I think we
Sort of
all
time.
might want to review the charge specifically and read it again, because it gets vague, and is this in the charter as well, the Town Government Study
believe we
Committee?
are.
I think it has
Yeah.
a section, so
yeah.
the
Mandatory
charge may
5-year
not
review,
be
isn't
a
it?
selectman's charge in the first place, it may be a charge from the charter. And the selectmen are appointing the people who have, undertake that charge. That's different from some committees, which the charge is designed and the members selected by the board, so.
Yeah, that is where it gets a little strange.
Do we know the last time they had this review, if they put in citizens?
I believe they put in citizens.
I
and
think they
I
had some
think-
things they knew were a little controversial, and I don't think they had confidence that the selectmen were necessarily gonna be willing to put them in.
And I'm not sure the public agreed either, so I don't think they, from one of Alan's first meetings with us, I don't think they had a great track record when they submitted things the first time. I think a number of them were, defeated.
Yeah, a number of them were, but anyway,
No,
they felt they were
right.
important enough to
That's-
put forward.
That's right. Okay, well, I will definitely get in touch. I'll talk to Libby to see sort of what protocol is, and we'll look through ours to see, through the charter, to see really sort of parsing words who
I'd
were.
be interested if you're having
reporting
a
to.
conversation, ask her if there are any changes she thinks that we ought to be looking at.
Well, candidly, last time I spoke with her, and granted, this was about 2 months ago, she was okay with saying, well, if you want to wait until 2021, that's okay with us too. So I don't know that there's anything that they're banging on our door to get
Okay.
done necessarily, just
Have a nice visit.
just for what it's worth.
So let's say we're doing something towards November 1st. Right?
Yeah, let's sure.
Because
sure,
it's
let's-
on here,
Yep.
timing is going down.
Yeah.
So it shortens something, so we would have the rest of September, October,
And that would be about it.
you know.
We'll
yeah,
have
so
your
about
meeting,
6
let's
weeks.
call another meeting within 2 weeks.
I agree.
And get feedback from you to us, and then we can start
And
looking.
address some of those.
Yep,
And
at least
Rick's
3 of
things.
those, and ask Dan to
And I'll
come.
look at YouTube, be thrilled.
So in terms of days of the week, Mondays people prefer,
Monday still
Tuesday.
works for me.
Yes,
and what's this time is preferred. Okay, so
Can we set like the next 2 or 3 meetings?
let's
Or no?
just. I would prefer if we could do 2 instead of 3, just to see. But if we want to
So I
try
actually
3,
can't do 2 Mondays.
okay.
I could do next
So what's the
Monday.
next one? Is that the
You want-
16th, the next
You want
Monday?
to do next Monday?
I can do next Monday.
I can do next Monday at
Does that give you enough time to meet with Libby?
yeah. I'll knock on our door. Libby.
I can do next Monday, I cannot do the following Monday, I'll be out
Then-
of town.
Then let's plan on, if that's okay with everyone, next Monday.
I'm
And-
away.
Okay.
Oh, then we
Well,
can't
but
do
there
it
are other-
without you?
No, that there's other people, right? I'm not key to much.
Okay. Well, let's. Are you gone all that week or just that Monday?
No, just that Monday, I have to take Mom for some medical stuff.
Fair enough.
Well, I can do
What
other
about
days
Tuesday?
in the
Would
afternoon.
Tuesday be
That's fine.
acceptable? Okay.
I could be here a little bit after 3, like maybe 3:15.
Okay.
Yeah, Tuesday works, because I leave town on the 18th.
Everyone just
Okay.
decide on 3:30 or? You guys, would 3:30 work better for you?
Just I round better.
Okay.
3:30. Grand. Okay. 3:30, 9:17 for our next meeting.
Good.
And then
I have a
Yep.
competing roads and right-of-way at 4:00, so
okay.
it's just life.
Okay.
Do you guys wanna start at 3 and I'll just join at 3:15?
We can do that too.
Okay.
Let's do great.
Good.
3 o'clock. Okay, and so let's try to, we wanna figure out the next one too? So if we do the 17th, let's,
2 weeks
let's assume 2 weeks, that would
on
get
a
us,
Monday,
the 30th?
whatever, I mean,
How about a Tuesday? No, that's the first. Scallop season opens.
I can do a third.
Nobody's coming.
Let's do 9:30 at 3 o'clock if that works for everybody. 9:30, 3 o'clock. Okay. All right. It's 9:17 at 3 o'clock. 9:30 at 3 o'clock. We'll-
Okay, and so just, because sometimes I think it's easier to get your agenda before you leave the
Yep.
meeting. We're going to get feedback from Libby.
Yep. On timeline, we're going to get Rick's,
Rick's 10 items.
and we're gonna try to knock off 3 of them.
And we'll pick 3.
And then I'm gonna reach out to Dan Drake and say, hey, we'd love to sit down and
And
chat.
that'll be one of the items, because that could take a while.
Okay,
in and of
that's true.
itself.
Well, that's true.
yeah,
That's
that
true
should
too.
be a meeting, I mean, that should be the 30th probably.
Okay, then that's
Okay.
perfectly reasonable.
Is it possible for Brian to review the presentation and then?
I don't.
give us
Again,
feedback
I don't
by
know
the
if it's. I don't know if
17th,
it's
or
going to
is that
be.
too soon?
I don't know if it's going to be Brian or if it's town council.
Okay,
Maybe the best thing,
But you'll be
if you,
finding out.
if you want somebody else to talk to Dan and get his sense for who should join us to
That would
help.
be terrific if someone has a good relationship with Dan or is friendly enough with him to chat with him. That
If
would-
someone else wants to,
Well,
I
I
will.
missed that show, so
I'll be happy to talk to you.
Rick,
Okay,
why don't-
thank you. Thank you.
so those will be the 3 or 4 things.
Yep.
Okay,
that should be meaty.
and then,
Yeah.
did you want to move this approval of minutes for July 31 and August 14 to then to?
We should. We'll.
Plus we have all the April and May ones. to
Right.
approve.
So we've got enough minutes to.
Well, but this is here, so we can start with the most recent and work.
Yes.
They're all
Because
very-
I
they're all
noticed that the
online.
planning board,
Yeah.
we have like, a long list of minutes as well.
We'll get them all approved.
But I was just hoping that way, doing it this way, you can write this like right now so that the agenda is set. Do you see what I mean?
Sort of.
Before you leave the
Yes.
meeting, and then it makes it easier to fill
Yes.
this thing out, because it's more of a copy paste than it is, what is it we are doing?
Right. No, that makes sense, and we'll figure out what three to review.
Oh, you know what, we mentioned getting, the posters, Tucker's.
Oh, yeah.
Photograph the post.
Yeah, I mean those will just be attached to the minutes, so that'll be all right. Yeah. Okay. We can reach out to Tucker.
You're
that
5
way.
minutes late for your next meeting.
I believe me, that boss does not want me to be late. All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you. And 3:35, second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you all very much.